Moet ik nou continue drukken, denk ik, hè?
Denk het wel, ja.
Okay, guys, Hare Krishna. This is Krishnacore podcast number 6, and today we have a special guest with Roland from the bands Mainstrike and also Beards of a Feather, and also some other bands. So we will talk about it. He's from Netherlands. He's a devotee who started like in the middle of the 90s, no? If I'm not
80s.
wrong. And yeah. So well. Mike, here we are with Mike also, who is an academic, also a devotee, and we will talk about the journey of Roland in the Krishnacore, in the Krishna consciousness, and also in the hardcore punk scene, especially in the 90s in Europe. So, Mike.
Roland, Hare Krishna. Lovely to meet you.
Hare Krishna.
Would you be able to just from the very start, just introduce yourself? I know that you're from a city called Apeldoorn, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And if I remember rightly, the fact that I haven't kind of researched this at all, I just knew this off the top of my head. You got into punk at about the age of 6 or 7 when your brother started to buy Sex Pistols records.
Yeah, that's right. You did some cool research.
Yes. So could you just introduce yourself, where you're from, some kind of background, etc.
Okay, my real name is Roland, and my nickname is in Dutch is Big, which means little pig, and it's also from I was 8 or 10, and I got that nickname Big, and it stuck to me my whole life actually. So my mother really hated it when people called me Big, so. But that's another story. Yeah, but my connection with punk begins when my brother bought this Sex Pistol album. And I was only like 6 years old, but it really was the whole thing, the way they looked, the music was so impressive for me that it stuck to me. And after my brother, he went to the disco and left punk. He gave me his records and all his posters from his room. So, and from there, I was just a little kid, it was not that much, but I loved the music, and he also got Kiss and Queen records. I was, I guess, 10 or 11 that I got my first own record, and that was The Exploited. And my brother also had a friend who still was into punk music, and he introduced me to a lot of English bands. So, and from there, I started to get my own records. And when I entered, high school, I started hanging out with punks in the streets. And yeah, that's where my story as a punk started, discovering things, drinking alcohol, seeing people for the first time, smoking drugs. For me, it was like a shock. It was a thing you only heard about, and then seeing people really doing drugs, it was like, but it was exciting, but I never felt like it really was my thing. So after hanging with the punks, I started to know some skinheads, and I started getting into the whole skinhead thing, because for me it was more like clean cut, more like brotherhood. It was more appealing to me. And I also liked the music, a lot of the oi bands, Foreskins and stuff like that. But then politics slowly came in, more right wing, and that also killed for me the whole thing. So I went away from the whole skinhead thing, and then started to get back into punk rock again, and also discovered American hardcore. And that was the first time I heard about straight edge also.
Yeah.
And to me, I knew I always was different, and I was not into what they taught you on school, getting a family, getting a proper job, all those things they tell you how to get a happy life. it never appealed to me, but I never knew the way to achieve what I really wanted. And also within the punk scene, it was all about change and against the society. But as I saw society and the people into punk rock actually did the same thing as the people they were against. Drinking, doing drugs, getting laid with girls. I mean, what's the difference? So, and then when I heard about straight edge, it really was like a real change. And not on the outside, but in the inside. And that for me was like really change. So, and from there, I became what I'm right now. And a lot of other stuff came on my path.
I think it's from reading about your influences, and like you say, you know, you're into the kind of the exploited Dead Kennedys. The interview that I was reading with you had the old Punk and Disorderly album.
Yeah, that's.
And I've got the first two. I haven't got. I think there were three of them. I haven't got the third one. But what you're saying really resonates with that kind of the clean cut kind of skinhead, as opposed to that kind of some of the stuff at least that were that was on that Punk and Disorderly, and that whole thing about punks about being drinking and puking up and fighting.
Yeah, that.
You know.
First, I was a little kid and it seemed like very attractive, you know, to go to the clubs and drinking. But when I actually came there, I was like, okay, this is it. I don't like it.
I know in that same interview you say that bands like Uniform Choice and Youth of Today and 7 Seconds seem to take you onto that kind of higher level. It took you onto yet another level of thought and another level, not of consciousness. That's quite pretentious, but could you just very briefly, before Madhu ask you a question about your relationship with is it Marcel Gumo?
Yeah, right.
And you used to organise squat gigs and stuff like that in the early.
Yeah, that was a little bit later. I mean, it all developed very quick. When you're young, stuff really happens very quick. So after I quit being a skinhead, I started to hang out more with Marcel, and he was really into collecting records already and into American hardcore. So he never was like really straight edge, but he showed me all the bands. And looking at those records, the way they dressed and also the lyrics, of course, that really made sense to me. Like, okay, you can be against the world, but first you have to change yourself and feel good about yourself and being a good person. So that made really sense to me. And from there you can change as an example, not just like pointing fingers, but work on yourself also. So that was very important to me.
Yeah, so of course this made like a so positive change in your life. And
yeah, definitely.
Hang out with the straight guys and reading about the lyrics of the bands. And you speak about American bands. There was at that time like more European bands.
Yeah, there was not a real straight edge scene in Europe. There was Lerm, but when I get into hardcore, they already, I guess they broke up, or they are in the last year.
Yeah.
So there was not really a scene where you can hold on to. So you had to discover things yourself. And yeah, the American bands were the most straight edge wise, were the most influential. And I don't know really about, there were some bands with straight edge members, but not really outspoken straight edge bands like Uniform Choice or Youth of Today. That was a total different scene.
Yeah.
Scene in Europe was dominated by politics.
Yeah. Well, you started Mainstrike. It was formed in the middle of the 1990.
Yeah, 95 we started.
95, yeah, in the 90s. And you wrote the lyrics. That is, I think, is one of the most lyrics what are the most inspired by the Krishna consciousness. But the first time, how you come in contact with the Krishna consciousness?
The first time was reading in a.
Yeah. You can take your
It
time.
was-
You can explain all your work history about how you came in, your process.
Yeah,
And yeah.
it was like I said before. Growing up in the European hardcore scene, it was all about politics and also against religion. It was politics, and you are against religion. I heard about the Chromex in 87, 86, 87. And I really liked that band. And then I got Zap magazine from, it's a fanzine from Germany. It had an interview with the Chromex. They talked about God and this Prabhupada. And I was like, what? A punk hardcore band talking about God? What the fuck is this? And like there was no internet, nothing. So I went to the library, and there I found Prabhupada's book, The Science of Self-Realization. And then when I read that book, and it said about you're not body, you're spirit, soul, and all the stuff,
Yeah.
it opened my eyes. It was like I went into punk looking for change, but never found it in like political ways. And I didn't know what I was looking for. But when I found this book, it was like, this is where I'm looking for. And from there, you start and meeting first devotees, and then you develop more that way. So, but
So started to
still,
go to the temple.
but nobody else, it was all on my own.
Yeah.
So there was no scene. There was the scene you were in was against it. What the fuck are you doing? You're going to a sect. What are you? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
But I didn't care, I always followed my own path. So that was kind of cool.
Especially when at that time, I think that it was so explicit, the message of the, I would say, Krishnacore bands like Shelter or 108. It was like really explicit.
Yeah, but it was before Shelter and 108 came up. So
yeah, also Chromax.
Yeah, the Chromex, and I saw Youth of Today on the tour '89. So, and Ray was, of course, already devotee, and he is a very inspiring guy. So that's where, And then after that, Shelter came and 108, and then that whole scene exploded in a short time. And at that time, I was in Manlifting Banner, communist straight at
Communist. Yeah. So there was some political ideas at that time.
Yeah,
your
it
side.
was. Yeah.
More
not really active or something. I mean, some parts of life are political.
Yeah, sure.
Did you come from a religious background? I mean,
no, not at all.
A very personal question, but did you believe in God before you got into the Hare Krishna movement?
I never gave it a thought.
Right. Wow.
So, and then reading those books, it all made sense to me. But I grew up like we didn't never go to church or talk about God, and in my whole family there was nothing about God. So, but still there was this feeling about, okay, something's missing, looking for change.
Yeah.
So there must be something.
There is something interesting in the album of Mainstrike, a quiz for the answers. The lyrics are inspired by Krishna consciousness. Is the only one album that is like giving out one step to the like how to say it, going ahead with the Krishna consciousness, like embracing the religion more, or
At that, you know, you mean I personally embraced it, or?
yeah, personally.
Yeah, definitely. At that time,
Yeah.
I went to the temple, reading books, starting to chant, and trying to make it part of my life, and trying
Yeah.
to live that lifestyle.
So you're waking early in the morning.
I was trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
hard anyway.
yeah,
That's hard.
and starting to read, you know, and trying to get more consciousness about where it's about,
Yeah.
and not just the outside of it.
Could you talk more a little bit about the lyrics of that album, please?
About the quest for the answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it had like different topics actually. It was
Yeah.
about trying to get more out of the straight edge.
Yeah.
You know, not singing only about, yeah, I'm straight edge. Let's have a clear mind. But the point is, what are you doing with a clear mind? What is your goal with straight edge? And for me, it was like developing more spiritual way. So I guess
Yeah.
that's the, yeah, how do you say, the red thread through the album actually. A quest for the answers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did you
So,
like that notion out quest is every kind of interview that we've done is I think, and it's something is a personal thing for Madhu and me as well, is that kind of quest. It is a quest for answers. Did you see the Hare Krishna movement as some kind of religion, or did you not? I'm saying that for many people they don't see it as a religion, and you've said it's like a lifestyle, more of a lifestyle. It's not an organized religion as such. It's a philosophy. It's a spiritual philosophy and a lifestyle
that's
more than an organized religion, so to speak.
that's supposed to, has to be, you know, and that's what I liked about Prabhupada. He was really like strict, and it really gave the answers. So that what I liked, really, like yeah, not religion or being part of a group. I didn't like that. But really, what's your purpose of life? What is your actually identity, and how to relate to the whole, to God? And he is really, my English is not that good, but
Don't worry.
he's really specific about it and really straightforward. And that's what I really liked. Not like hocus pocus. Okay, Bhagavad Gita, you can, yeah, maybe put it that way or that way. No, Krishna said it this way, so it's that, not your own interpretation.
Yeah.
And
Mike?
that's what I like. And there's a lot of people, okay, now, like Kurukshetra, where it's not a real battlefield. It's the mind and conquering your own demons. But when Krishna said it's on a battlefield, spoken on a battlefield, it's spoken on a battlefield.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And not like your own concoction, like, okay, maybe. And that's what I liked about Prabhupada. Really, boom, boom.
Yeah, straight. Yeah, I know.
Straight,
exactly
and
what you mean.
Cut out the bullshit.
And so there you were, kind of, you know, early 1990s, and you heard the Cro-Mags, heard of this guy called Prabhupada. There you are, starting to delve into this stuff. The quest for answers is, you know, pulling upon all kind of different ideas about you trying to kind of decipher all these answers. Could you then tell us what happened then? What was the process into you being initiated and becoming a devotee proper, so to speak? So you started to go to the temples and
Yeah, but that was like a long period actually, because When I first got to the ISKCON temple, I really loved it, but something strange was about it. Like some gurus I met not really gave me the right straight answers as what I read in Prabhupada's books. So I was like, okay, and I did it more on a personal way than commit me to how do you say, to an organization.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my punk rock background, like organization, there's something, I don't know, but I couldn't touch my finger on it. And then I met some people from the Chaitanya Saraswat Math, disciples of Govinda
Bhakti Sundar
Maharaj.
Govinda Maharaj.
Yeah,
Okay.
disciple of Sridhar Maharaj. And there I felt like more comfortable. It was not that much about the rules, but more like philosophy. And so that was the first time I really felt like comfortable.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the time I met those disciples, Govinda Maharaj also came to Holland. And I don't know, it all was very quickly, and yeah, I got the chance to be initiated by him.
Wow.
Very quickly, but yeah, it all felt like right. So I took the opportunity to get that step further and get initiated and trying to connect with the spiritual master, what I think is one of the main goals of Krishna consciousness, to serve Krishna through a spiritual master. I mean, that's the, how do you say, the way, do you say the way or?
Yeah.
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 It's the way, yeah.
So, but being in that organization, it was like, I don't call names or anything, but to me it was like it's being in a soap opera or something. It was like yeah, you still have social context and interaction with humans, and I don't know, you're looking for something different than the society you are into. You know, the games between boys and girls and gossip and all that stuff, and you searching for a place with real sincere people. And I'm not saying they're not sincere people, but a group of people together. Yeah, so I got involved in all crazy stuff. So then I said, okay, I left that place also, and yeah, going my own way. So that was my short time of being a disciple and involved with an organization, actually.
So you got only, like, how you say, first initiation with Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj?
Yes.
Only first.
Yeah.
And how long time you were in the mat?
1 or 2 years, I think.
1 or 2 years.
Yeah. But at that time, I really had a lot of shit, also personal shit going on in my life. So I was really like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that clear.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sometimes it's not about the place, sometimes about the people. Like, you find rotten potatoes everywhere. Like,
yeah, that's,
yeah, you know.
I know what you mean, but for me at that time, it wasn't good.
I understand.
And maybe it was like a test.
Yeah.
That I wanted to get away from stuff, and then at the place where I wanted to be, get tested with even more like social drama and stuff. So I don't know, did I fail the test or?
As you say, like a soap opera, sometimes it's some communities are like work like this.
And then when I hang out with, I mean, I really met sincere devotees who were really, but on a big line, the whole time the talk was about like, okay, we do it here better, and ISKCON does it that way, and it's not good, and ISKCON blah blah blah, what's the purpose of that? I mean, it felt like being in a group of people who think they're better than, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's happened. I saw it. I see it sometimes in my sangha also. So it's everywhere. But at least we can sometimes separate from that people. Okay, pranams, but please don't don't disturb me. So better to keep distance. And to suppose that once you associate with someone who is higher level than us, that is fully concentrated and fully dedicated to Krishna consciousness. The more they are dedicated, the best. So, but sometimes I understand it's really hard. It's really hard to find
those people.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but there are people like that. But yeah.
Of course.
And I like to be in their association, you know, but being in a group and stuff, I think it didn't suit me, I think.
How so one question comes, like how it was to be a devotee in the European hardcore scene in the 90s?
There were a few people, like Sammy from the Griffiths, and there were 2 German guys I knew, and there were some people from Belgium, but it was like really, really small. So I never felt like that there is a scene or something. It was always a little part of the straight edge scene, but not a community on their own.
Yeah.
You talk about seeing User Today in the I think it was 89. You said I think at the time you were playing for Man Lifting Banner, or around that time. How did that? I think as we've kind of touched on it. How did that anarcho-communist kind of group of guys that you were with? How did they think about?
And it's actually funny. We never really spoke about it or something, and it was always a kind of a joke, like Big is more eager going to the temple than coming to our meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it never was a problem.
No.
Because even when I'm not really into communism, but the struggle against injustice, racism, all those social topics, I really wanted through my input of music to help them out, or how do you say, to take my part in it, because it's an eternal struggle, and doesn't anarchist or communist, it doesn't matter what name it is, it's against injustice. So to me it was okay to be part of that band and play the music. But my philosophy was different than, because I didn't saw it as a political change, but more on a spiritual change within yourself.
You sound very much like Balaram Das from Not For Sale and Fares over in the Philippines, and I've just written about Balaram Das, who came to Krishna consciousness through anarcho-punk, through listening to Crass and listening to those kind of guys, and it's exactly what you're saying, that it was that kind of radical politics that and that sense of doing something right. And if you are going to change the world, then perhaps the first place to change it would be within you as a person.
Yeah, but that's what I start seeing now also in this part of my life, that being a nice, humble person has more effect than pointing your finger, oh, you're a meat eater, you blah, 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 it's wrong.
Yeah.
Just being nice and open, and you tell, okay, I'm not a I don't eat meat, and then people say, oh, that's a nice guy, and
Yeah.
it has more effect than always pointing your finger, and that's what I mean with change within yourself.
Yeah.
Be that example. Be a good. Try to be. I'm not saying I'm a good person, but try to be a good person. Try to be nice to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That was
will.
Prabhupada say that to teach with example is the best way
I
how
think,
to
yeah,
preach. Yeah.
yeah.
One question. There is some mention in a blog spot stuck in the past about one band called Nasingadev. I think you were singing in that band.
I played guitar in that
You
band, and
play
that was
guitar.
at the same time I was also initiated,
Yeah.
Right.
and that was actually a band after Mainstrike, between Mainstrike and the other band I did, No Denial, and that was like, yeah, that band. I don't know. We played 2 shows, but it was 5 guys who were totally lost it.
Okay.
You know, we thought we were a Krishna core band, and we really wanted to spread the message, but at that time we were not like really sane, I think.
Yeah.
So that band exploded also because 5 individuals who are not stable at the moment. Maybe it could be a great hardcore band, but at that moment it didn't work.
But which way? Like there are some. If you would like to talk about it.
Yeah, it was a really crazy time, but I don't know
Yeah.
what happened actually. Maybe I put it away or something in my.
Yeah, we could see it was a short period because I just saw this mention in this blog spot, but we tried to find somewhere else, but there's no albums, no nothing. There are no
I
recordings.
guess on YouTube there's some live footage on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
We played at the Goudenzaal at a festival in Arnhem,
Right.
Okay.
and that was our first show. But yeah, like I said, it was like a crazy period. It was also with Reese, who played drums for Reaching Forward,
Right.
Yeah.
and also the ex-drummer of Reaching Forward, and he was also on guitar. But we're all looking for something, and then we had a bass player who always disappeared. He was supposed to drive us to the, how do you say, practice room, and he didn't show up, and we didn't know where he was. French kids.
Okay. So there was a hardcore scene, but not like a Krishnacore scene. And this triage it was quite big in Netherlands at that time.
No, it
Triage
was
scene.
a few individuals, I think,
Yeah.
but not really like, like a straight edge scene. You got scenes, you got bands, you got, when you go to a show, it's like all straight edge kids all wearing straight edge shirt. But with Krishnacore, I never
Yeah.
experienced something like that. And maybe when 108 was playing, or Shelter, there were those few individuals,
Mhm.
but not like really a big scene with hundreds of kids who are totally into it. And no, never experienced that.
And at that time, maybe when wearing Kantimala,
Yeah, everybody was wearing them,
yeah,
but
everyone. It was a fashion, like so much in trend.
it was,
Yeah.
but they didn't
looks
care
so
about
sexy.
it.
It looks. Yeah.
That was, people always say, hey, where do you get those necklace? Can you get me some necklace?
Yeah.
So that
Mike?
was.
Yeah.
And then we've kind of gone through sort of Manlifting Banner and kind of Mainstrike, which is Quest France, and some of the lyrics in there just incredible. And did you find your kind of the way in which you developed musically, you started to become, you used the music as a means of becoming more spiritual. So on the front of the No Denial album, for instance, you had Carly. What it was, I've got it here. Was it Soundtrack of Decline?
Yeah.
It's got Carly on the front.
I don't know. Yeah, there's different pressings, and I'm not.
Right.
I don't know all the covers actually. What went on with that? But the first pressing had this skull
Oh,
on the record. And Soundtrack of Decline, yeah, it's my most personal record I ever made. At that time, I lost my girlfriend, I lost my job, I had to sell my house. Mainstrike was broke up, so
No.
I don't know. It was boom, 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 and all that frustration came on that album. So that's actually Soundtrack of Decline,
right.
and also trying to find meaning in why are these things happen, and trying to get get loose of the stuff and going for a higher way.
Yeah.
So that's that record.
So would you say that was a more personal record than say for instance Quest for Answers?
Yeah, that's also very personal, and that's actually 5 years earlier. And at that time, also a lot of shit happened in my life, and was not like really going well. So I think those moments, for me, are the most creative moments, and you realize things at at the time. You ask yourself why I have so much shit, but those times are looking back at those times are really how do you say valuable?
Yeah.
Because you learn so much in those times.
Yeah.
So actually you have to be thankful for those times, but at that times, when I wrote those lyrics are negative, but it should be also positive in some way.
Yeah, I found out. I've got some lyrics here. I'm rubbish at remembering lyrics. I'm rubbish at remembering names as well. So I always have to write things down. In pursuit, entangled in the strings of illusions, the more I take, the more the confusion grows. And first, you could kind of take that as to be quite a negative thing, because the more you get entangled, the more confusion. But actually, it's not. It's quite a positive thing.
Yeah, it's a realization.
Yeah. What was the idea about having the Planet of the Apes at the start of the album?
I like that movie, and I don't know. I don't know if there's really a higher plan or philosophy behind it, but that line with what is spoken, I think it's really strong. It's really powerful.
It's
Some
great.
way the message of it.
Yeah,
and the other guys really liked it.
Right, and it's perfect for the start of that album. For the Beastman. It's just great. Great.
It's also not very positive in the way looking at people and having hope for humanity, but the message is strong, like the way we are going on in this life will kill us, will kill humanity, because we are our own enemy. The way we are living, the way we live.
Yeah, certainly. And I know that whenever I listen to that, it always draws me back to the Age of Quarrel, Cro-Mags, the age, and that kind of, we live in the Age of Quarrel. We are going to kill ourselves. The way that we're living is we are entangled by illusion, and it's such a good start.
So that when we talk now about it, it really make like more sense than we did it. When we did it, was like, okay, the message is strong, it sounds cool, and put it on, but yeah, it's really powerful.
It is. And it's a
So
great
20 years later, I recognize the power of it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Roland, could you speak a little bit about Birds of a Feather?
Well, yeah, Birds of a Feather was actually meant just being a record, because Peter of Crucial Response wanted to put out a fanzine, Voice of a Generation, and with every fanzine he put out, he wanted to have a record. And actually, before No Denial, I had to give Peter a tape with guitar riffs. I don't know, I wrote for a project or something, but that was early 90s. And Peter Crucial Response came to me with a tape. Yeah, can you please record this? Because Mainstrike broke up, there was no more Onward, and he wanted to do another record. And he gave me the tape. Okay, can you please record this? And yeah, I did it with Pepijn, but we didn't really like, because it's really youth crew stuff.
Yeah.
And we didn't like it. And we went to the studio and we made the No Denial record. And Peter thought we were doing those youth crew stuff. So we forgot all about the tape, and then No Denial started. And then what I said before, Peter wanted to do a fanzine, and with every fanzine wanted to do a record. But he didn't had any bands. And also at that time, the tape got lost. So, but also Jonas, the guitar player of Mainstrike, at that time, I don't know, coincidence or something, came to me like, hey, I wrote 5 songs, maybe we can get Pepijn and do some project. And that's when Birds of a Feather came together. Like, Peter wanted to have a band for a 7-inch, and then we recorded Birds of a Feather. And it was not meant to be a band, but yeah, being together again with Jonas and Pepijn in the rehearsal room and putting out a record, and we really liked the record. So we thought, maybe we start a band again. And also at that time, GP Edge from Feel Your Strength fanzine, have you heard about that? He wanted to do a band, a straight edge band, with only guys over 30 years old.
Oh,
So everything came together in that record. His plan of doing a band at that time, 15 years ago, when you were over 30 and still straight edge, it was like a rare thing still. So that
Middle
was,
age, still
so that was a cool thing. We're now heading to our 50s.
Wow.
But yeah, that's how Birds of a Feather came together. But that really, then we had problems with drummers, and Pepijn left the band, and Jonas left the band, and we had several drummers. And and the road to the album was really long, writing songs, having new drummers, and there was not a really youth crew scene anymore. So the most of the times when we played gigs, it was like, what are these old guys doing here on this stage? And there was no connection anymore. So, and that was the time when I really, almost hated hardcore.
Yeah.
Traveling for 12 hours to I don't know where, and playing a gig for 20 or 30 people, with also up front 2 guys in an old Mainstrike shirt waiting for you to play a Mainstrike cover. I didn't like that anymore, and I had no connection anymore with the people. So yeah, I left that band, and then also my first daughter was born, and I was heading in a whole different direction, I think.
So on
After
the,
So
this,
that was Birds of.
Mike,
the
please.
past and the past to present then was accompanied by a book. So the album itself was accompanied by.
Yeah, that's right. That book was written by GP and Mark, because they wanted to do a little bit more than just a record and the band. So I don't know really the exact idea about it, but yeah, they wanted to put that book in it, and that's more like their thing.
Yeah.
That book.
Go on, Madhu. Sorry. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So yeah, the last story like about Birds of a Feather. You say that there was a moment that you almost hated for some reason, and after some time now, I remember I saw the show in the Sounds of Revolution Festival, and it was really amazing to see so much energy still in the stage. And how you feel about coming back, playing in shows and all the stuff?
Yeah, at this time, I'm really like being in a band anymore. But at the end of Birds of a Feather, hardcore always meant so much to me. I mean, for me, it was in my life. It was 24 hours. It was hardcore. It was all about bands, the whole scene, the T-shirts. And then 10 years later, finding yourself in a scene where you don't have any connection with it anymore because you don't recognize the people, that there's no more the bands that you like. People don't care that much anymore about the message. It's totally changed. You kind of I felt lost in that scene, you know. And then being away from my wife and playing shows for 10, 12 people, it didn't give me the satisfaction anymore I had like before. So, and then you getting adversity against it, you know. You started, and I don't want it to hate it, because it means so much to me. It's the biggest part of my life, being into hardcore, being into punk.
Yeah.
So then I try to put it away and trying to take distance of it, and that really took really long to realize that, okay, don't be so tied up on questioning everything, like, okay, is this hardcore, is this punk? And no, just be loose about it and have fun. And and being on stage again, I realized, okay, this is what I like, this is what I do, spreading the message. And also, it's in the last 3 years, I really I had a big metamorphose, you know, from the end of Birds of a Feather and trying to get away and loose from the hardcore scene. I became a regular guy, a family guy. I was still vegetarian, but you know, totally into snack food. And slowly I starting to get negative and being overweighted. And 3 years ago, I decided, okay, I also always was into trying to change the world, try to change yourself, but what has become of me? I found myself on the couch, wasn't able to run up the stairs without dying, almost, no condition. So, and then I saw the Youth of Today reunion show, and that gave me the fire again. And realizing, okay, are you satisfied now? And would like the 16-year-old Big becoming into straight edge hardcore? Would he like you how you are now? And then I had to say no. So I had to change again. Yeah, and then I start being more conscious again about my food, starting to exercise, and at that time Copain came here, and he said like, wouldn't it be cool to, play those songs one more time? And I still was like, I don't know, maybe. And for some reason, we got the opportunity to play The Sound of Revolution. And being the first time again with those guys in the practicing room, it felt like home again.
Yeah.
So, and playing those songs, I mean, those songs are my life. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. But not really being tied up about, okay, hardcore should be this way, I should be this way, Just be yourself and be able to have fun with it and not that much behind it. For me, there always had to be a meaning behind it, And the meaning can also be having fun on stage, being with your friends and carrying out a message, talk to people and just enjoy that. So that was really liberating for me to experience that. So.
And probably.
And of course, to see. Sorry, Mike.
No, just I think.
Of course, to see the old faces, like for all friends from that they used to meet in the 90s and the hardcore shows. It was so overwhelming for you, no?
Yeah, it was overwhelming. It was just a great moment. I mean, I never expected that response. So I was like, whoa. I really felt that same feeling again. What I was missing in Birds of a Feather.
Yeah.
So it was great. I think it was the first time we met also, right?
Yeah.
The evening before in the restaurant where we had to like wait 4 hours before we get our meal.
It was so crazy, man. Like 3 or 4 hours waiting for the burgers
and then Shelter had to be
nice.
Shelter show was like 10 o'clock and it was like 9:30 or something, and we still didn't have our food.
Yeah. Anymore.
But it was great.
But yeah, we didn't have we didn't spoke so much at that time, but I had a really good impression from you talking and about being in the stage. I like so much energy. I was so keeping the positive message. Like it was great, great for me. So inspiring for me.
Well, I think
so that's what that was my impression from you at that time.
Yeah, but at that
Mike?
time it was like a lot of those lyrics like Break the Cycle and stuff like that really had meaning again for me, because I as a person started to change again, and maybe that's why a lot of people said to me like, oh, it really came off like sincere and not like a lot of bands are doing reunion shows just playing those songs for playing those songs, but there was really a meaning behind it. It's maybe a contradiction with what I said before, but there was really a drive behind it again, So that
something fresh for
what
you.
can I say? It was great.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I'm going to be 50 in.
You too.
I'm going to be 50 in the middle of April. I'm going to be 50. So I'm not far away from that age, and it's really strange because I can make sense of what you're saying about that album, that The Quest for Answers, is that whole idea about when you're a little bit younger, you're always trying to find something. You're always trying to find that answer. But as you get a little bit older, you realise that the answer is just staring you in the face. And the answer, not the actual answer, not the truth, but it is just about being.
That's the point. Yeah,
being a punk. It's not about being a skinhead. It's just about being yourself. You know, you're 50 years old and looking back on your life and thinking, yeah, the answer really is just here. It is about just living and being.
Just living, but living it with consciousness, you know?
Yeah.
Because from 2010 till like 3 years ago, when you just live your life and going to work and without any consciousness, then your life is passing you by and I didn't felt great about it. Even I have a lovely wife, I have lovely kids. Something was it just life, how do you say in English? It just passes you by, you know?
Yeah.
Missing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It does pass.
And also I got personally in like a negative spiral. And then you start reading news and you see everything negative. And when you get in that spiral, it drags you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was sitting on the couch, like totally negative, fat, and always like complain, oh, those are the assholes. But I had 2 young daughters, and I was asking them, what kind of example am I to my daughters?
Yeah.
Telling them be nice to people. You guys have to exercise. You have to go out doing sports, stuff like that. And that also made me realize, okay, you can sing and think about change, but you have to do it. You have to put your effort in it and really make it work.
Yes, exactly.
So, but then you have to kick yourself under the ass and start doing things again.
In our when we kind of messaged each other, ready for this interview, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but you said that you're not as close to Krishna consciousness as you was. I think you said you're not a devotee anymore. Is that right? Or have I
I'm
said
not.
that wrong?
I don't know exactly if you can say I'm not a devotee anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not practicing all the rituals, the chanting, but to be honest, there's no day. There's not a day when I not think one time on a day about maybe just the name Prabhupada or Krishna. It's always on my mind, and even if I'm not practicing and I left it, it's still there.
Yeah.
And maybe when the time is there and I can get it back, it will be. So, but in this period of my life, it's, I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it. Sometimes when I'm doing my workout running, I chant just on the beat, like I'm chanting the mantra. So it's still on my mind and it's still part of me.
Yeah.
But not maybe for the outside. It's something. And maybe that's also the feeling too. I know it's always there.
Yeah.
You know, it's one stable thing.
It's hard to remove Krishna from your heart.
Yeah, I think life is different stages, you know.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in my you learn more and more, and maybe sometimes it's going down, but slowly it's coming up, and maybe not in this lifetime, but it's an evolution, I think. So I'm not worried
In the
about
Bhagavad
it.
Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "My devotee is never defeated."
Yeah, maybe on a material point of view, maybe you're defeated, but spiritually, can you be defeated? I don't know.
There is no lose. There is nothing to lose, and there is nothing. You know, it's like you already got something.
Yeah, that's
That
maybe
association with Prabhupada, the devotees, the books, that always will be there, I think.
Yeah, and that's also a feeling of what can happen. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, but I made the decision to actually leave Krishna consciousness. I also was for a short period with the IRM, ISKCON Revival Movement.
Right.
And I was also at a cross point of my life to, getting full time really into Krishna consciousness, or getting married, and I couldn't combine those things.
Yeah.
I'm maybe a strange guy, but for me it's always all or nothing.
Yeah.
I cannot do something a little bit here and a little bit here. And at that time, I decided to trying to live my life.
Okay.
Living my life. And also in the IRM, what I said before, like in the math, there was also too much social stuff going around. And being again in an organization, I think it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather be on my own and do my own thing.
Yeah. But it's also like, for example, Prabhupada Kisiata, he says the organized religion is like the way how the living expression of spirituality, it will be destroyed. There's one part that Prabhupada Kisiata says, so he knew about these things. And I also understand that from my point of view that, of course, Krishna consciousness is not something about institution or something about organized religion, because it's relationship. How to develop your love for Krishna and nothing else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I
and
understand.
Of course, when you have love for Krishna, it's spread it to all living entities. So it's about relationship.
Yeah, it's about but I don't know, how do you feel about being in a group, in an organization with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to explain, but sometimes it's more about being that little clique than about the real understanding. And maybe you are with people who are into it, but the other parts are getting more important sometimes. I don't know if you guys have that experience.
Yeah, well, I'm not I know the ISKCON member. I mean the institutional ISKCON, but what I understand is just about that. Sometimes things are so simple, and but sometimes people give problems like it should be like this, it should be like that. I think it should be like this. I think it should be like that. But in the end, we should do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Nothing else.
Yeah, that's the purpose. But
there's nothing to be do with the institution. The institution can be destroyed if you want. But if someone is chanting Hare Krishna, so there is a pure devotee there, there is Prabhupada, there is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Rupa Goswami, there is no problem. Everything will be okay. To take away the politics and take away the gossiping and these social domestic problems of every institution. You know, it's like, I think we agree on that, no?
Yeah, we agree on that. But what I think it's really hard, and what I don't understand is with a lot of within the Krishnacore scene, where people are from the hardcore scene and the punk scene. I understand what you mean, but we cannot shut our eyes when there's something wrong, I think. And isn't?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I completely agree
like,
on that.
Oh, Prabhu, it's opera. Don't be offensive, but I mean, when you see something wrong, I mean, when someone's an asshole, someone's an asshole. And I think you should speak out against that.
It was Prabhupada would say, surrender surrender, but don't surrender your intelligence. It means you
Mhm.
must discriminate with who you have association. Otherwise, your spiritual life will be destroyed, you know.
Yeah.
And this also happened to me, you know. Like I, I don't want to talk about me, but also before I had a guru that he fell down, and then I prayed for bona fide guru, and yeah, and I'm happy where I am now.
Mhm.
That's yeah, it's a long story, but anyway, I think we all have this kind of struggles in the spiritual life, and it's part of the spiritual life also.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Sure.
struggle, like how you say that in the battlefield, Arjuna was in the battlefield, and it was, you know, with his family members, and
Mhm.
in the other side of the battlefield. So it's so also we're face the same situation, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
but
a
everyone have their times, you know. Everyone is also, if it's not in this life, in the next life, but we already got something. Hmm?
yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a ongoing path. I mean, yeah, it's also a road has its ups and downs, and I don't worry about it.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, of course, if we go deep into it, I feel that sometimes we should speak like in another context, but yeah, I feel I could also speak about the fall downs of gurus in ISKCON, especially in the 90s. It was like really heavy, and of course, many people lose their faith. You know, it's like it's hard for the devotees. You know.
Yeah, yeah, but that was what I found, and why I actually lost my taste for it is that you
Yeah.
see something that's wrong, and then you come with people only like pointing their fingers, like, oh, they were wrong,
Yeah.
and then yeah, they self act like also like not really proper people. How do you say good devotees?
Yeah.
And also some falling downs, and then you can point it out because okay, don't be offensive. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I'm
Yeah. But
too
I understand
hardcore for that to
your
be
point.
just like oh.
Yeah. We also come with a punk hardcore background, so sometimes it's hard to be like not to shut up
Yeah, I
about
mean,
injustice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always like there is a nature in this thing, so it's natural. I understand your point also.
Yeah.
So so
Did
yeah.
we're talking about kind of you know, in the past you kind of thought, right, this is punk, this is hardcore, this is skinhead. Did you ever see yourself as being in a Krishnacore band? Were you? I think with Birds of a Feather, there were three of you, weren't there, that were that were devotees, or
at one time, yeah, there was two. Jeff maybe is a little bit, but the drummer, he was like a devotee, yeah.
like
But he also had his own path within the. I don't know if he's really a Krishna devotee, but yeah, I don't like it also when there's mix up with other religions and
Yeah.
it's a mesh up. So I don't know. But there was times, yeah, like with Nisringa Dave, I really liked the idea, but for me, it never worked out or something.
Yeah.
I liked
So,
what you said about it being about being a soap opera.
sorry?
You said earlier about being in that kind of environment was like being in a soap opera,
Yeah, something like that.
and I can
And
see.
also I saw it with Man Lifting Banner. The guys were communists, but they also had so much discussions about little things, and I think it's also really strange to have a band with 4 or 5 people are really like exactly the same and thinking the same. That would be
That's true.
maybe scary also.
There, there's I'm more communist than you or something.
No, like Lenin said this, but yeah, but Marx mean this, and but Stalin.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle
Seriously,
of those discussions, like,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
Have you heard about Prabhupada?
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Prabhupada say this, but also Prabhupada say that.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
especially now, like the conspiracies or the earth flat, like among the devotees, like
Oh.
Yeah, how
going on so much.
I didn't follow that, but how are the devotees' stance on that actually? Is there
Yeah.
a common view on
Yeah, I see
the whole
sometimes,
pandemic?
I think there's
many times actually,
Yeah.
many times. But
The
Mike?
research I've done on it, there are one or two quite vocal devotees who believe the Earth is flat and believe that we're not on a spinning globe. And from the research I've done and the questionnaires, a lot of devotees find it very embarrassing about that. But I've also seen devotees sharing stuff on 5G, about it being a scandemic and COVID not being real and how you cannot catch COVID. And I've also had one devotee, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything, sharing stuff about Holocaust denial. So it
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
But the big Earth is flat thing is quite. It can be. Oh, and evolution as well. That Darwin was wrong, and has tricked the entire science community, and evolution doesn't exist either.
Okay, but that's a small side group, I think. It's
actually,
not.
it's quite big. Yeah.
Go on, Madhu. I know
I sometimes have surprises about it.
because I know that Madhu, you've talked to me about it before, and you get quite annoyed about it and embarrassed about it.
But it's funny, especially in the flat earth stuff. It's like a proper, there's one conversation, and he make fun about the Western people because many years ago they used to think that the earth was flat. And he say many years ago, even before they knew, in the Vedas, it say that the earth it wasn't flat.
Mhm.
So Prabhupada say, why you don't follow it? And it's not even something so important. It's like
I know.
at least I know from the school where I am in the line of, I know you, if you know Srila Narayan Maharaj,
Mhm.
it's more focused in the spiritual life and nothing else. I mean,
Yeah, you don't.
all those things are completely Maya,
Mhm.
And it becomes, Roland, you summed it up, it becomes a kind of a finger pointing, egotistical exercise for some of these people saying, I know what the Srimad Bhagavatam says, and it says the earth is flat. I know more about the Bhagavatam than you. It becomes this kind of huge ego thing that the devotees don't really know. We know that the earth is flat. We're kind of, and it gets quite disturbing. Also becomes quite silly. It kind of like, just talk about Krishna. That's all you have to do.
That's the point. And
yeah,
getting into all those things, I don't know. I got the most peace when I stopped reading news and trying to follow news, and also trying to have an opinion on everything.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of times people, but what do you think about it? And I just say, I don't think anything about it.
No.
I don't care. But you have to, and that's what I was like, I always had to have an opinion, and that opinion has to fit in the way I was. But It's so liberating to, I mean, sure, I have opinions, but
Yeah.
don't always speak out those opinions and just, being nice and
Yeah.
not always pointing your finger.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
a bit of humility. And that again, and I can't say this for Madhu because Madhu's a young man. He's in the prime of his life. He's a good-looking fella. But us guys in our 50s, you know, we could kind of look back and there is that humility, you know.
Yeah, but that's also, you have to learn and to find out. And that's when I think about getting 50 in 3 weeks, it's like, 50? It was like, it feels like 3 weeks ago I was 18. What happened in that time?
I know.
And we're still in a learning process.
I know. What date
It's
is
already
your
happening to
birthday?
me. So.
What date is your birthday?
25th of March.
25th of March. Oh, it's a Thursday, isn't it? Is that on a
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah.
Are you in Aries?
What's an Aries is
Yeah.
Ram.
Yeah. I'm the 17th of April, so I'm about 3 weeks after you. Yeah.
Okay.
God, 50.
Oh,
And like you
you
say,
should celebrate together.
and what gets me is I remember I started my PhD when I was 30, and that's like 20 years ago. 20 years ago. What?
That's so strange to realize sometimes. When I think about and talk to people, hey, don't you know, like colleagues who are younger, and I talk about stuff, and then I realize, oh no, that's like 20 years ago, and those people are like in their 20s. So
Yeah.
and starting to realize that, oh my God, shouldn't I grow up?
Yeah. And for me as a university lecturer as well, so I was born as you were in 1971, right?
Yeah.
So I'm teaching students who are 20. So they were born in 2000. They weren't born in the 19 something. They were born into post-millennium. And it's like, I could be their granddad. Oh my God.
But I never feel like that. I always feel like, being still part of them. And
Yeah.
that's also what I sometimes realize. I told you before, like my life was always 24, like it's hardcore and punk and being into all that stuff. And that I couldn't relate when you get into the normal society. I could not almost relate to a lot of people.
Yeah, I know.
And that was something scary.
Yeah.
Like I had no subjects to talk about. And I was, what's this for strange guy? He's not drinking and don't eat meat and you don't like football and
But you lived the way you wanted to live, didn't you?
yeah.
You did it.
So I don't care about it, but sometimes to realize that it's you get in a conflict or something like, shouldn't I have like be more into school or being more into that? But I made records. I traveled to the craziest places.
Exactly.
Met the craziest people.
I know.
You cannot take that from me, and just being comfortable with the person you are, I think.
Yeah. There was a thing it was used to happen in the 90s, the hardcore scene, and about being a devotee within the hardcore scene, about this mentality of keep your God out of hardcore. Do you have some experiences about it? Like some people were against Krishna consciousness or
Sure.
against you personally because of you were a devotee, you used to be a devotee, you were a devotee.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it was like, and even within the stray, it seemed people were, not like aggressive, but like, you're brainwashed, and how can you believe there's a God? And that was definitely going on.
Yeah.
So, but I never cared about that, People can say whatever they want. I always went my own way. So,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of tension sometimes. But I think, and I was loth about it, because people say, no gods, no masters. But they were like, with the whole Satan and their 666 thing. I mean, okay, maybe there's no God, but what's the use then with your whole Satan? I think
They also have their
everybody,
gods.
even if people say they're against religion, but everybody has his or her own religion.
Yeah.
I think, and even you have your own master and your own gods, like your rock stars or the people you admire, like almost like God. So I think it's almost a natural thing to have a master or a god. I don't see a problem with that, but everybody has like their god. That people are worshipped on TV like God, or artists, but most of them are
philosophers.
Even
Of
now
course.
in Holland, people who are popular. There's one guy on YouTube. He's really a loudmouth against the police, and people adore that guy. And it's a total low life. I mean, how can you adore somebody who is such a low life and just being a loudmouth and being obnoxious to the police? And oh cool, look, he's obnoxious to the police. But by putting those people on, how do you say, on a
pedestal.
On a pedestal. And then you say to me, like, okay, you shouldn't believe in people like Prabhupada, or don't believe it, because that's a lie to Krishna consciousness. I cannot understand that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that.
It reminds me once that well, I'm massage therapist. And once came a Polish guy, I think it was. And he saw my Kantimala and say, "Oh, you are Hare Krishna, and you are devotee, Hare Krishna. I like the philosophy." I say, and then he say, "Oh, there's a guys. I don't think how someone could believe there's a things and about these gurus and scriptures and all." And I was like a bit fed up, and I say, "And what about you?" I know I just more political. I'm communist, socialist, and all. And okay, and I told him, okay, you like Karl Marx, you like Engels. They are like the basis of the socialism and communism. Then I told him, oh, so you like the books and all. He said, yeah, of course, I read them. I say, so Karl Marx is your guru, and the Communist Manifesto is your Bible.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Everybody has their own religion.
Yeah, he got a bit fed up, and I realized that, and I told him, "You want another therapist?" He said, "Yeah, of course." And then I left, and I said to the receptionist to bring another therapist for him. But yeah, it's like everyone have their own ways, and like Prabhupada says, also like a group of the dogs. I don't know if you remember this, like you follow a bigger dog, like it was something like that. So yeah, it's like everyone have their ways to follow something.
Yeah.
To follow someone,
Yeah. Like. So that's what I always were okay with the whole patches with no gods, no masters. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So, but
Like,
Well, I was gonna. We've been chatting for about.
Roland, you want to say something? I think Roland, he wanted to say something.
I wanted to say something about being, with words attacked in the hardcore scene.
Mm.
When I was in this group of punks, I went skinhead. So, and people were like, "Oh, he's a skinhead." Then I came into hardcore, and being straight edge in the hardcore scene in 86, 87, people were throwing beer at you for wearing an X. So I'm always like being on the outside and being like attacked, like.
Yeah.
So and then at the point with the Krishna consciousness thing, I only could laugh about it because I knew the people who are screaming it the hardest and pointing their finger would be out 1 or 2 years later. So I didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they used to throw beer on you because you were playing, or just because you were in the concert or something?
At the concert, because the first shows we went to was like Negation, that whole scene. And it was more like a punk squad thing. And then walking into a show with an X on your hand and your Nike shoes and your champion hoodie, people were throwing beer on you. So it was like, it was, of course, it was safe to be like straight edge in a hardcore show, but things were totally different than when Mainstrike started. It was like a whole straight edge scene, and you go to a show and it was all like straight edge and hardcore. But in the early days, it was, you were at a punk hardcore show with 2 or 3 other straight edge people in the crowd, and that's it. And then you had to be careful, and it was like, maybe it's because you're young and everything is new, but it was like, okay, what's going on? It was a kind of scary thing also, but you also went in like proud, like, okay, I'm straight edge, that's funny. So maybe that's.
So you don't take it like from the way of grayish pride and all, like.
Yeah. But maybe that's what I like with, and also within in the straight edge scene, I also took the side of where people are also were thinking like, what's up with this Krishna thing? But that was the way for me, and I didn't care about what the main group was thinking about, or were thinking about that way. I always, when I felt something, okay, I had to take this step. I don't care what the majority of the group is thinking. I just go my own way. And maybe that's also a quest for the answer then.
Well, I was going to say that we've been doing this for an hour and a half, and if it's okay with you guys, we kind of draw it to a close. But Roland, I'd like to. Well, I think out of the podcast or the interviews we've done, this is by far the most personal interview that I've ever done.
Okay.
And it's an absolute honor to have talked to you. And
thank you
really
for having me here.
Would you like to end the interview? Would you like to what would you like to say to those people that are listening to this now?
It's hard. I mean, what I experience now in my life and what I said before, like just trying to be nice, being an honest people, and stop having or at least throw out your opinion about everything.
Yeah.
Just be an example and being nice, and then you will see how people will react to you is a lot different than when you start arguing and pointing your finger. I experienced this at my job. I work at a health food store, at a organic food store. Yeah. And when I talk to people, the first when they see me with my cap and my tattoos, they're like, okay, what's this, guys? And then I'm just talking about plant-based food and about, I'm doing a lot of sports and talk about that. People are getting more enthusiastic about and thinking about vegetarianism or veganism than when I start from the point, okay, meat eating is wrong because of this and that. I give another twist, just being nice and open, don't judge people. And the reaction I get from people is a lot of different. Because when you start pointing at people getting in the defense, and there's no more dialogue anymore. So maybe that's my message these days.
And it's a really good one.
Good. Yeah. I must say that I also so grateful about this conversation with you and to know about you and to know about your experience, like really amazing. And because we all have hard times in our youth all the time, it's the nature of this world. And it's just amazing. I mean, as Mike says, one of the most personal and intimate conversations that we have in this podcast serial. Just grateful, and yeah. So
Yeah,
thank
thank you for having me. It was really cool to talk about
Hare
this.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's been wonderful.
And I hope we can meet soon one day, maybe in Europe or South America, Mainstrike, because we never know when we will be. Because I'm from Chile, from South America, so but I
Yeah.
live in Prague. So
Oh yeah, Prague. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Originally,
But it
you're
would be
from
amazing to meet you again, Chile, Santiago.
Chile. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully there will be shows again.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
next year.
So
So I
yeah.
definitely want to play more shows
So,
with Mainstrike,
yeah.
but we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, great.
We'll see.
The flame still burns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I'm actually more in shape now than I was
Yeah.
like 20 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing what you
Wow,
can
cool.
achieve in a short time and with your mind changed. So much is possible, but people don't realize that, I think. But just put the effort in it.
And with that, yeah, I think that's the best bit of advice.
Yeah.
Well then, guys, well, thank you very much, Roland. It's been brilliant.
It was an honor. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol.